Harry, there you go.
The beauty of technology, eh?
Yes, exactly. I so much prefer a real conversation. But
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, so maybe jumping to the next question. So we heard now a lot of like these things you could do, like from meditation, from
sure.
the physical exercise, etc. But for example, for someone who's not really into this whole kind of like mental and wellness and fitness orientation, how could they do the first easy steps to get in there? Yeah, to the first easy
Yeah.
step to start. What is meditating? Yeah, so yeah, people maybe are afraid of this or kind of like don't know how to start, and and of course with the physical fitness elements as well. What is your advice there for really early steps or first
Well,
steps?
the number one sort of most basic thing you can do from a preventative health stance and to enhance your well-being is to manage and maintain your gut health. Um,
Mhm.
your digestive system is responsible, or your gut, the microbiome, which has become a bit of a sort of a buzzword, but it's the bacteria in your gut. It
Right.
produces 90% of your serotonin, which makes up whether you're happy or not. 70% of your immune system sits in your gut.
Mm.
And there's signals that are sent from your brain to your gut and from your gut to your brain. Without going deep into the sort of science of it, it's negatively impacted by stress and positively impacted by good quality sleep, probiotics, cardiovascular activity, and the reduction of stress. So to take care of the things that would recommend that people do indirectly positively impacts their gut. Now, you'll never really know it.
Mm.
It's a subjective thing, really, how good you feel. But to start to do things that are good for your gut is the number one starting point. Secondly, I would add to that, the reason most people don't succeed with their
Mm.
wellness routine is because they set themselves unrealistic goals from the beginning.
Mm.
And they say, I've never run a day in my life, so I'm going to do a marathon. I've just joined this new gym down the road. I'm going to go every day. And if you
Right.
say I'm going to go every day and you miss two
Uh,
days, it seems like a massive failure. And then you've
mm.
missed a week. And then 2 months later, you cancel your membership. So, like anything, if you're trying to get rich, you're not going to become a millionaire overnight. It's a gradual
Right.
process of practice and routine of good habits. And well-being and wellness is a very similar concept, you know, the
Mm.
accumulation of any skill, and think of your health and fitness as a skill.
Mm.
Bruce Lee said it takes 10,000 hours to develop the skill.
That's
Um,
true.
so we might be looking at, not looking at 10,000 hours to get fit, but think about putting smart gradual steps in place. And now with more time on our hands and a greater level of confinement, I've
Mm.
seen a really big shift towards people wanting to get fit, use this time to get fit. And I think that's great.
All right. So we thank you. We have a question here from Amber. Hi, Harry. What elements of self-care will you remain doing at home after lockdown versus more interactive activities?
Um, that might be the osteopath. It is. It's Amber in Fur, the osteopath I was talking about. Um,
Ah, hi, Amber.
she's in. She's
Nice to
in.
see you.
Um, my mobility has been the thing that I've really honed in on. I
Mm.
would put my hand up, and she'll tell you too. I'm rubbish at stretching. Or previous to this, so it would be the part of my routine that I wouldn't stick to. I would finish my run and run out of time, and then go, and something else would take over. So I've worked
Mm.
really hard on my mobility. It's a very personal thing. You can do it anywhere with a little bit of space. Um, Along with my mindfulness practice, which is the meditation that I do.
Right.
Those will be the two bits that I've really um, managed to be more consistent with. I won't ever say perfect, but more consistent with, and something that I will definitely be continuing when the big wide world is open to me again. Um,
Right.
I think that I would like to think that we're not just creating little fads, we're creating proper habits. That would be my desire. I mean, some of these things that are going on are fads. I think the amount of workouts that people are doing on online like this, I think, will continue in part, but we'll see a shift back to people wanting physical social interaction in a physical space that they were used to before.
Yeah, but maybe some of these good routines are somehow sticking to the people and will improve their health as well, right?
There was a really interesting comment by the CEO of Equinox, biggest luxury gym chain in America, got 3 or 4 sites in London. Hope people will be familiar with it. He has come out openly, and this is a guy who owns 34 gyms in Brooklyn and Manhattan alone, okay? A lot of money invested into that. And he has come out and said that the future is part digital, part physical. And that is for them and their guests, their clients and their users. And I think that that's great in theory, but businesses need to find a way to monetize it, and consumers really need to find a way to quantify the value that they're going to get from it. Because whilst a digital product is cheaper and more accessible and more convenient, I'm not sure that you will ever be able to replace, for example, my osteopath. I need to see her physically to get the best benefit. So we must, whilst we are all embracing this digital interaction and intervention, which is by far better than nothing, let's not turn our backs on the true craft of delivering a quality service. And I could apply that to many, many different industries.
Fully agree with you. Yeah.
We're the most social of animals on the planet.
Yes.
And we need that interaction. So I would say that.
Yeah, it's also about the balance in the end, right? The balance between digital and physical. And if you are doing too much digital, it drowns your energy down, and that's why you need to go out, need to go into nature, have this physical connection to therapists and trainers and so on. Let's jump into a couple of questions regarding travel. Yeah, so.
Okay.
How much of your travel is based on, so back in the days, but also in the future, how much of your travel is based on wellness, and what kind of activities do you look for then in the future? Yeah, so where do you actually travel to, and how do you travel there with to get these experiences?
Well, I found my first sort of venture into entrepreneurship was I founded a health retreats business. So it was nice. People who were coming specifically, and I managed to partner with some incredible luxury hotel groups. My first one was in Sicily, the Roccaforte's Verdura. I've done 4 Seasons. I've done the one and only in the Maldives. I'm missing all of those places right now.
Yes.
Six Senses. We've been all over. So we've been taking people with a specific mindset who are going somewhere to engage in well-being for a set period of time. The Medi-Spa market in Europe is massive. You'll be familiar with Lanzarote and Shah Wellness and these types of places.
Right.
And I took that knowledge from being a business founder and moved into consultancy. So whilst my travel was not specifically for wellness, I was traveling to places to talk to businesses about how to build health and wellbeing concepts. So spent a lot of time in spas and a lot of time in gyms and a lot of time in some very nice places, a lot of time on an aeroplane. And I'd like to think that will in part go back. I've been to and from airports in your amazing cars, spent a lot of time in lounges, and I really was starting to sort of refine down what business travel was, because business travel for some people is lying in a luxury bed drinking lots of champagne. Business travel for other people is making sure that when you turn up to where you're going, you're in the best condition to deliver something excellent. I've been on both sides of that, been on a nice holiday and wanted to arrive there in style, versus when I land in New York or when I land in LA where we met, I need to shake off the jet lag and go and deliver a keynote speech to 70 people that really matters.
Yes.
And for that, I would rather not have had zero sleep in a seat with no leg room. So I've been speaking. I've got a lot of friends in the hospitality industry, and was speaking to a friend in New York called Colin Nagy, who writes for Skift, an industry publication. And he
We
was
had the
talking about
editor last
Oh, did
2 weeks
you?
ago.
Excellent,
Yes, yes.
excellent. They've interviewed me a few times, and Colin's
Nice.
done a really good podcast on Courier Daily about the future of hotels. But
Awesome.
what he was talking about was air travel and how expensive off the back of this air travel is really going to be. And I hope he's not really correct, but I think that a lot of that short haul, cheap European business travel that we've all become accustomed to, £100 for me to come and visit you in Berlin, I fear that that might be a thing of the past. And as
Yeah.
a result, wellness tourism on the lower end of the market, people going to yoga retreats in Ibiza, or people going to walking holidays in the Alps in the summer, which are not enormously expensive and quite accessible and very good for your health, will become prohibitively expensive and will have a negative impact on people's ability to do that, and a knock-on negative impact on, let's not forget, there are a lot of people who own properties and businesses that are 100% reliant on health tourism.
Right.
And I think we are worried about that. The trickle-down effect of more expensive flights means less tourists, and wellness tourism was growing faster than any other sector within tourism for the last 4 years. Health and well-being, people traveling specifically for health and well-being, and all of the revenue they brought with them. So we must find a way to preserve that. And they will travel, but they will travel shorter distances and stay within probably the country that they live.
So this staycation topic will be growing in the future, more or less.
I believe so. I really believe so. I think we'll see. I live in the UK, and my parents and my parents' parents would have traditionally gone on holiday to a not very sunny beach somewhere on the coast of the UK.
Yeah.
You're German, you know what that's all about. So we have the same problem. Now we could fly to the south of Spain for £50, you know, for a long time, and it will be a long time before that comes back in that same vein. But we have, in all of these negative situations, there is a winner, and the winner will be the domestic tourism, staycations, those types of activities, of which we will see health-related travel domestically.
Yeah. Do you think that, for example, I mean, I can tell you, for example, when I go to, I don't know, Austria or kind of like into the US, where I can go, and I'm pretty well know where I need to go and what are the places. But when I'm thinking about like Germany or UK, so the near countries, I'm actually not quite sure what are the real good places to do exactly these kind of like holistic therapies, etc. Do you think that, for example, travel advisors will have a special job there, or will kind of grow in that area to specify their services in domestic travel?
Definitely. I spent a lot of time working with a luxury concierge company in the UK called Quintessentially.
Yes, very nice.
Founded by one of my very good friends, Ben Elliott, who was my client for a decade for personal training.
Nice.
I know him really well. Now he's working in government as well as running his businesses. And they will have to become more well-versed in recommending to their clients domestic, not just domestic travel, but practitioners who live within your country, who people may have flown to LA or New York to see, these sort of guru type people. I think we'll see a surge of people turning inwards and trying to seek that within their own confines of their own sort of territory. People are going to have to adjust to this. I hate to use this sort of tagline, but the new normal that everybody keeps talking about, and what that is and how long that lasts for. But I definitely think that domestic practitioners of well-being, whether that's trainers or any kind of healer, will get more business from locals. We've seen from a consumer perspective in the UK a push back to local, so people going back to the local butcher, the local greengrocer, not necessarily going to the big Tesco or the big chain supermarket, but actually supporting local business for fresher, better produce, and being willing actually to pay a little bit more for it. And I think that's an interesting thing to talk about. What are we willing to spend on? We're willing to spend on health, and we're willing to spend on food. And if we're not traveling abroad, I think we'd be willing to spend a little bit more to stay somewhere nicer in the UK.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, on the one hand, people are willing to spend like tons of money for iPhones and cars and so on. But when it comes to food, then they're getting the cheapest stuff for their personal engine, right? And if this engine is not fueled with a good fuel, then
I had a client, I won't say his name, but he had a very, very nice guy, a Ferrari. And I trained him for about 6 or 7 years. And he used to drink 2 cans of Coke every morning, 2 cans of Coke. And I just asked him one day, I said, would you pour those 2 cans of Coke into your Ferrari? And he looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, but you'd pour them into your body. And that was the analogy that it needed for him to stop drinking 2 cans of Coke every morning, because he wouldn't put it in his car. A really nice, if you've got any parents and you're thinking about health and well-being, ask a parent if they would ever feed their diet to their child. And if they say no, ask them why. And it's a good way to get people to rethink sometimes about what they put within their own body.
Nice. Okay. So I have 2 more questions, and I hope it's okay for you to do 5 minutes more. Yeah.
Listen, my friend, I'm not going anywhere. Surprise, surprise. I'm stuck here, so I'd love to answer as many questions as we can.
So that is a question from Vicky, and she's asking, which one clothing item could you not live without?
Clothing? I have a lot of pairs of trainers. I have a lot of pairs of running shoes and workout trainers, and I've written columns for magazines for a long time, and featured lots of bits of kit. So luckily for me, lots of them have been sent to me. So definitely my trainers. I've got a lot of pairs of trainers.
All right. So ultimate holiday destinations for wellness boost. This is coming from Mark.
All right.
I think
that's a good question. But I mean, I'll quickly touch on that because well-being is so broad. Okay, are you going to de-stress? Are you going to get fit? Are you going to lose weight? Are you going to get strong? Are you going to take your family? I've always found a place that I spent a lot of time last summer is the Six Senses in Kaplan-Kaya on the Aegean coast in Turkey. And it has the ocean, has the freshest of fish. It has the most amazing food, a big gym. But when you look at some research that was done by Dan Buettner called Blue Zones, he wrote a book called Blue Zones. When you pick these places in the world where people live to be the longest, many of them were coastal, rural communities. So I think if you can just take things back a little bit to how people used to live in a more coastal, rural way, Greece, Turkey, Sardinia, these were places that have this longevity diet, this Mediterranean diet. So those would be the places that I would say to go to for wellness, for sun, for sea, for movement.
So you don't have to go to Asia or to Australia and to these really long haul flights.
You definitely don't.
Right?
Often it takes you 24 hours to recover per time zone that you cross for your circadian rhythm to reset. So even flying to New York, I'm not really back in my rhythm for a week. So Chiva Som, probably the most famous one in Thailand. Yeah. Amazing place, don't get me wrong. I'd go tomorrow if you gave me the chance.
Agree, yeah.
But don't go there for 4 days because
Stupid.
You'll really our circadian rhythm, which is obviously the natural rhythm of the earth with dark and light. We release adrenaline and cortisol to wake us up and melatonin to put us to sleep. That gets completely shot to bits when you're traveling between time zones. So
Yeah.
pick that carefully. And actually, what we were saying about before, the domestic staycation could end up being more health enhancing because there's no travel or recovery. You might take a car, you might go in a car and travel there nicely. Your service is going to do well out of that, I believe, in the coming times. Less airport transfers and more domestic staycation travel will be something that I think will be a positive spin for you guys. And health starts within the house. You know, you don't need to. What we want to avoid is this feast or famine mentality where I eat crap all the time and don't do anything, but once a year for 2 weeks I go somewhere to be fit. That is not preventative health. Preventative health is daily activity, and also we must not forget the relationships we have with the people around us massively impact our well-being. So be nice to the person you live with, and they'll be nice back to you. And honestly, it will positively impact your health from a physiological perspective.
Yeah, this is what I mean with your positivity. Yes, I really love this kind of like energy you're providing, and it's really, yeah, it's fun to listen to you. So I really like a couple of comments here as well. For example, Bit Beefy, cool name. Definitely shopping more locally. Yeah, so exactly this is the mindset which we all need to develop, right? Loving this content, guys. Thank you. So. Maybe one last one. Yeah, okay. I think we answered that. Will people still travel for wellness after Corona?
I think, look, I think what we're going to have, it's going to be a very personal thing. Whether you've had it or not and survived it. Two, whether you're comfortable and confident to get on an aeroplane or in a confined space with somebody else. My personal opinion is that whilst habits and behaviours will change, the inherent human need for interaction will not change. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that guy who commented before is actually Bit Beefy, heads up Nike running clubs in London. And he's a friend of mine. I can't wait to give him a hug when I see him. That's not going to go away, you know. I think that, and our desire to travel. We've become very transient and very, we talk about having itchy feet, you know, we talk about wanting to go somewhere, to see things, to explore.
Yeah, we are explorers, right?
We need to culturally enrich ourselves. We need to meet different people from different religions and backgrounds. My fear is that this may make us become more insular, and that's an unhealthy thing. Nationalism was already on the rise, and for me it's a very unhealthy concept. I think we got a little bit better at sharing the planet together and sharing experiences, and I hate to think that rich depth of exploration will be something that my young son will not experience. And I will try to instill in him the search for knowledge and the search to meet new people. And that's well-being for me. That's a really important thing.
Exactly. It's not only the sports or the meditation, it's the daily how we act and how we deal with other people. I realized that, for example, of course, now we always need to have masks on, when we're going into a shop or a doctor or whatever, and you only see eyes, and people starting to not look into your eyes anymore. They are trying to avoid this eye contact, and I think we need to change that. Exactly. This is what we have, and this eye contact is so powerful. And we can somehow create a connection with other people.
I think you talked about it then. Wellness is physical, it is mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's cultural, it's educational. All of those things make up how well I am. I could be really, really fit with no body fat and never leave my living room. Wouldn't make me well. It would make me fit. Look at a guy who's in a prison cell. Okay, he's in great shape because he's got 3 meals a day, nothing to do but press ups. Is he well? No, he's decidedly unwell. So we must remember when we sculpt what wellness is. That we have a rich tapestry of things that we can draw upon, rather than thinking back to the old days of eat vegetables and do exercise. Okay, that's
Mm.
great, and you should do those two things, but you should also look at the other areas of your life and how and those things are all contributing factors to how happy you are.
True. Thank you, Savage, for your words. I love that you're mentioning the mental aspect of health and wellness. 100. Very good. A last one. Yeah. So
Okay.
we are always ending with some good news. Yeah. We had a lot of good news already. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Which with all the bad news in the end. Yeah. So let's end with the high note. What is the best news you have seen that will impact the future of wellness?
I think it has been the rise in philanthropy, the rise in charity, the rise in giving. Giving something to someone who can't do anything for you is altruistic. It's altruism, and I think a lot of people are starting to realise how good that makes you feel. And I hope that that is something that continues. I've seen a really big rise in people doing physical things, physical challenges, running marathons in
Right.
their garden, sponsor me to help the NHS, or moving into cycling, or doing how many press ups you can do or whatever. But not only
Right.
doing that to physically enhance themselves, but doing that to raise money to help other people who can't necessarily help themselves. And I hope that that community element stays, and that we
Mm.
realize that preserving our health, fitness is looking after my health, charity is looking after everybody's health. And I hope that we combine the two of those things and continue to not only look after ourselves, but to look after the rest of society, and
Exactly.
move away from doctors and move towards preventative health.
Perfect.
And I would be a happy man if that was a habit and behavior that continued.
And it's a nice piece what you were adding there to society. Yeah. So Harry, it was a big pleasure.
Thank you.
Everyone who watched, yeah, please do me a favor. Sometimes at some like once a week or every day, look into Harry's profile. He's sharing a lot of really nice stories every day, and you really get a kick to do the same as Harry is doing. Thank you very much. It was a
It was
big
great to
pleasure.
speak to you. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon. Take care, everyone. Thanks for
Absolutely,
listening.
absolutely.